It started as any other day. People walked the streets, children played in parks, and the city thrived in its usual rhythm. But then an invisible force grew stronger, pulling everything downward with unimaginable intensity. Gravity had suddenly doubled. Every simple action became a battle. Lifting a briefcase, stepping off the curb, even standing upright felt like trying to defy a mountain of invisible weight. Humanity was suddenly weak against the force it had taken for granted. Vehicles designed for normal gravity began to fail instantly. Tires could not support the added weight. Buses and trucks leaned dangerously, teetering as their chassis groaned. Traffic turned into chaos in mere seconds. Buildings, engineered for Earth's familiar pull, were suddenly challenged. Steel beams bent, glass shattered, and even the tallest skyscrapers seemed to tremble under the added weight. Even everyday objects became deadly hazards. Streetlights bent like paper, benches splintered, and small objects fell from their places, threatening anyone unlucky enough to be below. Human bodies, conditioned for normal gravity, buckled. Simple acts like running or climbing stairs became impossible. People crawled desperately, fighting the invisible force that held them to the ground. Nature could not escape either. Trees bent and snapped under their own weight, birds struggled to take off, and rivers seemed to shift unnaturally. Gravity had transformed the entire ecosystem in an instant. Emergency responders raced against time, but even their training was insufficient. Vehicles meant to carry them were failing, and every rescue became a perilous challenge. Humanity's strength was measured against the relentless pull of gravity. Bridges, once symbols of human ingenuity, now strained under the doubled weight. Suspension cables sagged and concrete groaned. Roads and highways became a battleground against physics itself. Far away from the cities, even the ancient mountains began to feel the strain. Rocks that had rested for centuries suddenly shifted under their own weight. Massive landslides thundered down slopes, reshaping the landscape in moments. High above the earth, pilots suddenly noticed something terrifying. Their aircraft were losing altitude. With gravity twice as strong, the lift produced by their wings was no longer enough to keep them safely in the sky. Even objects in orbit were not safe. Satellites began drifting closer to Earth, pulled by the stronger gravitational force. Communication networks around the world started to flicker and fail. The oceans reacted dramatically. Water, now pulled more strongly toward the planet, shifted with immense force. Tides became dangerously high, and massive waves began crashing against coastlines. Animals across the planet struggled just like humans. Birds could barely take flight, and many creatures found it exhausting simply to move. The natural balance of life was suddenly broken. Athletes, known for their strength and endurance, quickly discovered that their abilities meant little against doubled gravity. Running, jumping, even standing upright demanded tremendous effort. Even the sky itself seemed to change. Heavier air and stronger gravity altered atmospheric pressure. Clouds appeared lower and darker, making the world feel heavier in every sense. Within minutes, global news networks began broadcasting urgent warnings. Scientists scrambled to understand the cause of the mysterious phenomenon shaking the planet. Physicists and astronomers rushed to their laboratories. Data from satellites and observatories confirmed the impossible. Earth's gravity had doubled. For ordinary people, life had become incredibly difficult. Every step felt like climbing a steep hill. Even breathing became harder as the body struggled under the intense weight pressing downward. Airports worldwide closed immediately. Safe flight was no longer possible. Power lines snapped under pressure, leaving cities in darkness. Entire cities suddenly lost electricity, adding fear to the already chaotic situation. Governments rushed to open emergency shelters, but moving people safely became nearly impossible. Machines built for normal gravity struggled to operate efficiently. The increased pressure deep within Earth's crust triggered a series of powerful earthquakes. Volcanoes began to rumble as pressure beneath the surface intensified. Despite the chaos, humanity began adapting. Scientists searched for ways to survive under the new conditions. Advanced support suits were developed to help humans move more easily. Engineers started designing buildings capable of surviving the stronger gravitational pull. Vehicles were redesigned with stronger materials to withstand the crushing force. Life slowly began adapting to the new reality of a heavier Earth. But life would never be the same again. Everything required more strength, more energy, and more resilience. This extraordinary event reminded humanity of the delicate balance that keeps our planet stable. Our world may feel solid and permanent, but it is governed by invisible forces. Fortunately, this scenario remains only a thought experiment explored by scientists. But it leaves us with a fascinating question. What other invisible forces shape our universe every day?